All right, if you are watching this video, that means that you are broke, you don't come from money, and you're trying to move to New York. Welcome to the club. I kind of moved out twice. The first time was when I was 17. I graduated from high school in Ohio and I knew I wanted to come to New York. I wanted to study acting. I didn't know much about it, but I thought I would figure it out while I was there. Lucky for me, I had an in, which was my grandmother. I had family out there. So I knew I wouldn't have to pay rent immediately. I lived with my grandmother for 4 years. Love her dearly, but it was time to go. So after 4 years of living with her, in September of 2019, that is when I moved out for real. I'm paying rent, I'm paying utilities, and if I don't have that rent money, it is back to the streets. Make a plan. Like, do not come here with, I say, less than 4,000 saved. You can make it work with 3,000 saved, but you are asking to struggle. So have between 3,000 to 5,000 saved if you're going to move here and you're going to be paying for everything. 2 to 3 months before you plan on moving, I suggest you start looking at listings, start making connections, because people always post ads about vacancies coming up in the next few months and they're gonna need somebody in that room. So 2 to 3 months before you plan on moving, just start reaching out, dropping seeds here and there, and see if you can hear from somebody. So that way when you get here, it's not like you're starting from complete scratch, like you have something started up. There are groups called Roomie, Spare Room, and Gypsy Housing is on Facebook, but there's like a Gypsy Housing NYC Facebook group. Start sending out your resume. I put a lot of stress on just putting out seeds. Craigslist is illegitimate, I feel like everywhere else in the United States, but New York City, for the most part, Craigslist is legitimate. You can find apartments there, you can find actual jobs there. 90% of the jobs that I've ever had, and there's a lot of jobs I found from Craigslist. Harry, Harri, Indeed, LinkedIn, and also hit the pavement. I mean, things are a little different now because of coronavirus, but usually print out a bunch of resumes. Do not come home until you've handed out all of those resumes. And in my experience, when I've done that, I've always had a job before I made it back home. You know, if there's one thing I'm good for, it's always having a job. I've always hated the jobs, but I get jobs, I got money. Not really, but I have income. Not sustainable, so this is all trash. So make sure that whatever your monthly income is, that once you pay rent is not taking up all of your money, because then you're not going to be living and you didn't come here to just work. The housing market is notoriously fierce, for lack of a better word. Like, you need to move quick. So all of your proofs of income, have that with you. Be ready to kind of sign. Once you see a place that you kind of like, I'll do the application when I leave. Like, start doing the application while you are there at the open house. And you alone need to be making 40 times the amount of rent. So just keep all of these things in mind, which is why the planning part is so important, because I've met and worked with so many people who, they didn't plan. It's just, I wanted to move, so I did it, and I'm young, and it didn't last. So many people that have came and gone. And if you want this to be sustainable, put some thought into it beforehand. Cheaper areas to live. I hate saying this because I feel like it adds to the gentrification. Even though I myself kind of add to the gentrification, but like, I'm Black, so like the world not really increasing prices for me. Like, they do not really care about me. But the point is, Uptown, Harlem, the Heights, Inwood, things kind of far from the touristy attractions are going to be more affordable. Brooklyn, like I really don't know like a whole lot about Brooklyn because I rarely go out there except for like the occasional function. But the thing about living in Brooklyn though is most of the train stations are like outside and far apart. So consider that, especially in relation to wherever you find a job. When it comes to like whether to live in uptown Manhattan or like Brooklyn and Queens, I feel like you still end up getting more space in Brooklyn and Queens. But at what cost? Something's always going to go wrong with the MTA. The MTA is notoriously trash. There will be a delay because somebody got sick. There will be a delay because of a fight. There will be a delay because a homeless person did something. There will be a delay because there will always just be a delay. There's a track fire, there's this, there's that. People die on the train. Something is always going to go down. Another thing to take into consideration. Sometimes you have to take transfers. How many trains do you have to take? Do you have to take one? Do you have to take two? Do you have to transfer to the select bus service? Like, there's a lot that goes in with the traveling. It's truly not complicated. You can just use Google Maps to figure out how to get to where you go, and it tells you when to transfer, and you just have to follow and read the signs that you see in the train station. It's just a matter of timing. My golden rule would just be to never put your eggs in one basket. I typically have like one main job and then 2 jobs that I can pick up, say if I need some extra money. At this current time, I'm an administrative assistant, and I don't need to have these other 2 jobs, but this stability does have a cost. Not what I want to do. I told you guys I wanted to be an actor, and here I am an administrative assistant, so yeah. But yeah, just never have all of your eggs in one basket because something's always gonna happen. You get hired, it's full time, and for some reason they're only giving you 16 hours because they weren't able to hold up their end of the bargain. Illegal, but at the end of the day, who has time to go back and forth to court when rent has to be paid? You need to have other things that you can pick up, and I'm going to go over a list of all of the jobs that I've had and give you some inspiration and things to look for, like brand ambassador gigs. There's always so many because of coronavirus right now. Things are kind of hard, but they're out there and you can look for them.
I typically juggle 2 or 3 of these jobs at a time, so that's why there's so many, but also a lot of these jobs have played with my hours, so I quit. My portion of the rent is $760, and I live in a 4-bedroom apartment, so 3 roommates. Another person pays $760, another $795, and the other $920. So in total, it's about $3,267. All in all, my monthly expenses are $1,660, but that's not a solid number because any of these items that you see a star next to, they aren't necessities. So that's an important thing for you to figure out. What are your absolute you must pay items and what are things that are flexible? And from there you can divide your total number by how much you need to make per week. So for me, $1,660, that means that I need to be bringing in at least $415 each week to have enough for all of my expenses per month.
You may not be living this life that you thought you would based on movies and shows. Like, that was my biggest thing. I had to check myself because I thought I was gonna be like prancing down the street. Like, there's this movie called How to Be Single, and it's like Rebel Wilson and Dakota Johnson, and I'm like, this is so cute. Like, look, she just waltzed into New York and she found a little friend group, and that's something I felt like I've always struggled with here because people come from all types of backgrounds. I mostly ended up around actors, and a lot of them ended up not being from the United States. So then visas ran out, and then my friends left me. So it may not be like the movies, and that's okay. You can make this situation turn out however you want to over time, but be patient. You're not going to have the picture perfect IKEA room when you first walk in. Give yourself time. The first few months may not be ideal, but you are here. And depending on how this coronavirus thing goes, you can do whatever you want with it. I believe that the idea of moving is more scary than actually doing it. I had a lot of anxiety about how am I gonna do this? Everybody says it's super expensive, it's super hard. I don't want you to feel discouraged. It is possible. Can it be difficult? Yes. But if you live within your means and you're willing to hustle, it's doable, completely doable. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed this and me, like and subscribe down below.